Well, I am going to. Well, I read the book Oneness versus the 1%. The author is Vedana Shiva and uh, Kartiki or TK Shiva. I don't know how it's pronounced, the last name, but well, Vedana Shiva is a renowned environmental thinker. She is the leader of the International Forum of Globalization. She's an activist. She has published several books through the time. She is, I think, like 64 years old. Yeah, she is also an ecofeminist. That's interesting too, I think. And yeah, she has won several international prizes like Sydney Peace Prize, Calgary Peace Prize, and so on in the across of the past of the years. Yeah, and what else? Oh, well, yeah, that's interesting too. She has, I think, like 2 PhDs. That's interesting. And on the other hand, Kartiki Shiva is the son of this phenomenal woman. So yeah, that's that. And there are several things that I like from this book, and the first one is the fact that um, that that it recognizes the um, oneness meaning humanity working and thinking and existing or being as one entity, as one conscious, that we are interconnected. And I think that's really, really cool, because not many books talk about that topic, and it doesn't, well, it's not that common that scientific papers or documents express this idea of oneness. And oh yeah, one thing that I forgot to mention is that these authors are from India. So I think that that's key too, because they express this idea of oneness. And yeah, they have, I think, very interesting points of view in religion too, for example. And but well, leaving that aside, it's really interesting that 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 there is all the wealth accumulated by a very selected group of people, less than 1%, like 0.01 or 0.001% control or has all the wealth that has, well, a tremendous part of the wealth in in all the global context. And it's very interesting because the number of billionaires through the years is decreasing actually, and the book says that seemingly by this year, actually around this year, there will be only one of or one enterprise, one market, one something that is going to have all the control and all the wealth uh, that is going to shape the world as this entity wants. So I think it's very interesting. And it talks about, well, it mentions also the 2008 crisis and mentions that it provoked that the wealthy people in the world actually increased their amount of money, and also the other 99% lose a lot of money, and it says that it's not a coincidence, basically. And yeah, I think that also it talks about um, um, what else are there? Yeah, it says that the economy is growing in a very aggressive way. Yeah, the money machine, it says, it accumulates, it continuously grows. It's like a cancer, like a cancer cell. It doesn't know when to stop. And I think that's very interesting. And it says that we are at the edge of a precipice. I think that's how it that's the name. What we are in the end game, because the administration and the economy is living the world in such a bad condition. And I think that this topic must be included in this class. I thought actually that we were going to talk about climate change and sustainability, but yeah, I think it's very, very relevant to talk about that because we are, well, the economy, the way that the 1% is leading the world in a bad, in a way of having, of perceiving the nature as yeah, like an industrial process that can be exploited and that can be in a sort of way. This has to be with colonization because it says exploitation of the land. Indigenous people also are also uh, in as, are viewed as slaves and things like that. And it says um, that that yeah, because of this we are ending our natural resources, and it's all because of the administration of the 1%. And it says that it is not too late. But again, this book was published in 2015, I think, more or less 2018, perhaps. So yeah, it says that at that time, at least, it wasn't too late. I want to hope a little bit desperately that it is still this way, but we can fight as the humanity itself can fight as one in order to change this way in which we are led and in which we are um, programmed even to think and perceive nature and the way that we want more and more. But yeah, that we could fight against these 1%. That's actually that's the whole argument of this book. Uh, this concept of oneness, I think it's incredibly important. Yet it's not that common to hear that. And I think that's precisely how that expresses how valuable this concept of oneness really is. And because in certain way the 1%, yeah, the 1% that rule the world doesn't want us to know, and I think it's astonishing. But yeah, and what else? Yeah, the tools of extraction are very heavy for nature. We are not letting the earth um, to be good once again, and um, then also extract the minerals and all that stuff. And I think it's also shocking that it says that the 1% wants us to believe in separation and division, in all these things. And I think that's really, really a key point, because because uh, because it creates violence. It's it makes us um, think that we are not connected to nature, that it's not the case, that we we are like a superior race, um, and with, I don't know, interesting thoughts, I guess. But the idea is that we are also divided from other human beings, and that's not true. And it's very, very aggressive. That's very uh, worrying. Worrying. I don't know if that's a word, but the thing is that it's it's a cruel way of perceiving things, not to perceive us like divided. And also I think that the division also uh, gives power to this 1%, because we feel all alone, and we probably think that we can't do anything else to take back the rule of the world. And I think it's also in some point of the book it mentions or says something like that. So yeah, I mean, it, as I mentioned before, talks about like neo-colonization. I think that's the term, or something like that, in which it's colonization, like that happens to us, to Africa, and all those countries in which um, the Westerns, well, the Western civilizations took all the resources, and the, and also rooted, no, uprooted all, all culture, and also they want to make just one culture, I think. And now, well, yeah, no, leaving that aside, I'm going to mention that further, but this idea of neocolonization, that yeah, that they take all the resources, that they divide the land, that they exploit, that they yeah, and it's shocking, because the same thing happened of colonization back then, but right now with other technologies, and like, I don't know, social media and the surveillance topic, it has to do also in here. It's how in colonization methods, and I think it's very interesting, and I think you will like this perspective, teacher. But it doesn't. It's just, this book just briefly mentions that, but I think that's a topic for a whole book. And yeah, this eco-apartheid that she calls, well, that the author calls it, is that we are separated from nature. Uh, what else? What else? Also, there is separation in terms of culture, in terms of religion, and it's very, very funny. That's what I wanted to say previously, is that all these things that make humanity diverse is put against us by the 1%. It's ridiculous, but yet, I don't know, it's like art. It's amazing how they do it, to put something so good against us, and we don't even, well, I, at least I didn't recognize it this straight away. So it's like, in a way, very subtle, but yeah, it has such a repercussion on us. And I mean, poof. And also something very interesting is this this thing about food, in which the bacteria that we all have in the stomach and in the guts contain, well, it's a microbiome that contains 100 trillion microbes and 1,000 bacterial species. And yeah, that makes like well, this bacteria and all these make the body like stay in good form and to regulate the processes that it has and so on. It has several uses, but the pesticides, the herbicides, the type of food that we are consuming is affecting in a rough and tough way these bacteria. And this even makes problems, well, causes problems such as autism or Alzheimer. And the CDC, the Centers of Disease Control in the US says that in the few decades, within the few decades, there will be children, well, 1 in 2 children will suffer from this type of diseases, and it's frightening what's happening, and yet anyone is doing anything. We are so blinded, I think, or at least the majority. And the 1% wants us numb, I think, and that's what it wants to express to, I think, this book. I love this book, honestly. I totally love it. But what else? Oh yeah, but this food is affecting this on us, and we have to take a look at that, I think. And, what else? What else? Well, I think that was the most relevant things that I could find in the book. Also, it's worth mentioning that in India, she she says that even trees are holy, are divine, or something like that, and people have sacrificed themselves in order to protect them. And I think it's very valuable to have again that perspective that the indigenous people has, and it says so that the world needs to rejuvenate through the aid of indigenous people that are discriminated and almost forgotten by the world. Also, a cause, well, a consequence from the 1%. And where, oh. Oh yeah, the mechanical mind. It's well, real quick. Is that is this in which we perceive things? Yeah, separated. That we want to divide uh, a whole complex thing, and to analyze it by parts. But doing this, we may miss very important things, and that's what is happening, and that's a problem because we are not viewing all the perspective, all the consequences, really. And yeah, that's a problem. The mechanical mind, the way that we rationalized things, that is also something given by the 1%. And oh yeah, well, yeah, divide us, but they are they reunite us and they make profits from it. It's absurd that thing. But the mechanical mind, yeah, separation. Well, it's about separation. It's about worldview, paradigm, violence. It's not natural, and this author also mentions quantum physics, and it's incredible because yeah, we are it because nature and us we are interconnected and determined, and there's no exception. And another thing that I can't remember, and that's the basis, and we should perceive it this way, in this way, the world, but we are doing it but just in a rational way, and it's not good. It's a man-made construct and very limited, i I think. And yeah, I think that would be all. Thanks. Okay, nice class, by the way.